Welcome back to another video, guys. It's your boy Wraith Hoops coming to you with another interesting storyline. We knew the money was getting crazy in free agency. We knew the contracts were getting bigger and better as the NBA gained popularity and more money comes in. Now, what we did not anticipate was the information that Woj decided to just drop on us out of nowhere. We knew Jaylen Brown needed a new contract. Obviously, some people thought that he was on the trading block. They thought that the Celtics might just unload him depending on how this next upcoming season goes. Obviously, they retooled with Kristaps Porzingis. But last season, Tatum really did his part of the job. But Jaylen Brown left much to be desired. He played well in games when Jason Tatum was playing well, but he also played poorly in games when Jason Tatum was playing poorly, which makes it problematic because if you want to have a 1A, 1B kind of lineup, the 1B needs to be a 1B. He really played like a 2B, which is a problem. Now, that's not the point of this video. The point of this video is the fact that they think Jaylen Brown could see his contract extension for the Supermax being 5 years up to $304 million. I don't think you understand how much $304 million is. That's $1/3 billion. There's many NBA players across history who have been perennial all-stars and all-NBA talents across their careers and have not touched anything close to that amount of money. And as one fan on Twitter said, forking that over to a guy that has 2 current all-star appearances and 1 all-NBA selection to his resume is absolutely insane to think about how far we've come in history. Now, to us right now, this looks like a massive overplay. Obviously, we've seen some contracts go out to Fred VanVleet and Dillon Brooks, and we felt like those might have been slight overpays. But as the league gains popularity and more fans come into the game, more people spend money, the salary cap is going to continue to increase. Obviously, the new deal says that it will cap at 10%, raising every year. But the most important thing to pay attention to is now teams have to spend up to 90% of that. If they don't spend up to 90% of that, then they essentially forfeit it for the rest of the season. And nobody wants to forfeit free money. So obviously there's going to be some overpays in the beginning. The market hasn't really been set too well. We're seeing the free agency market kind of calm down. We've seen some people have really great off seasons so far and other teams not really have great off seasons. But I digress. The most crazy part about it is the fact that when you think $304 million over 5 years is insane, but then you take into account the fact that in the 5th year, they expect he could potentially score $70 million. If I'm the Boston Celtics, that's a hefty overpay, especially considering the success that we've had so far. Now, they're not a bad team. They've been far and deep into the playoffs. They have a great coaching staff. They have great facilities. They have great role players. But the most important thing is if you're the Celtics, you have to win. If you're going to go in this far, you still have Jason Tatum, who's going to end up needing an extension of a couple years down the line. So he's going to need 300 M's himself at least. And if things don't change, then you could see him sign for $350 million. Who knows? But if you're the Celtics, do you really want to risk putting yourself in a position or the predicament, honestly, where you have to pay 2 stars $600 million? And depending on what the cap room is looking like at that point, it could be very detrimental to them, or they might have the flexibility to do it. I'm not really sure. Now, we're going to see a lot of stars, regardless of age, getting more money than was conceivable in past years. But this just goes to show that really anything is possible. And if I'm Jaylen Brown, the contract talks have been put on halt. But with this news coming out, he wins either way. Even if he doesn't get the entire $304 million across 5 years, he's still going to get a hefty bag. And if you see Woj is the one that drops the news first, it's a done deal. It's a done deal. It's factually accurate. I checked a couple other sources, and everybody's saying essentially the same thing. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. If I'm the Celtics, maybe you want to hold off to do that. Maybe you want to see how this season plays out before you sit there and go ahead and make that decision. But either way, somebody's going to pay Jaylen Brown the money. Obviously not maybe $304 million, but he's going to get paid one way or another. Whether it's the Celtics that do it or another team really remains to be seen. Now, obviously, he averaged 26.5 points, 7 rebounds, 3.5 assists, shooting for a career high 49% from the field. So he's trending in the right direction. He's playing very effectively, and he's getting the job done. But come postseason time, that's where they need him to step up and become that one. If he's a true 1A, 1B kind of character, right now he's looking more of like a Kyrie Irving type of player where he's a great player, a phenomenal offensive skill set and bag that he can get into, but he might not just be that leader that can give you a championship on his own. And that's perfectly fine. But if you're going to pay him $304 million, you need him to be a consistent and reliable second option so that Jason Tatum can have a bad game every now and then. Even though Jason Tatum is a phenomenal talent, the Celtics have a very well-rounded core. They did trade away Marcus Smart, but they do have Kristaps Porzingis, which allows them to flex the floor a little bit more, give some more space, and hopefully open up more scoring options. Now they're going to have issues with playmaking, but if I'm Jaylen Brown, I think I can elevate my game to match that contract. It just comes down to who's willing to pay it. With that being said, good morning, good evening, and good night, no matter where you are on the globe watching. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.